environmental fieldwork. Partial fingerprints from Elena's press badge match records in the environmental activist database. Analysis of these communications suggests jealousy and personal animosity from someone familiar with journalistic practices. Elena's calendar marked a meeting with Sarah J., scheduled for the night of the murder. The timing of this appointment creates a direct link between the rival journalist and Elena's final hours, raising significant questions. Voice analysis of anonymous calls to Elena matches Sarah Jensen's speech patterns, establishing a strong link between the rival journalist and the threatening communications prior to the murder. An anonymous tip gives specific details about the knife that matched the wounds, suggesting inside knowledge or possible involvement in the crime. Store records reveal multiple customers recently purchasing similar knives. The sales data creates a narrowed timeline and potential suspect pool, though the commonality of the weapon complicates definitive identification. Further analysis of the purchase locations and payment methods could help pinpoint the buyer. CCTV footage from the store captures a buyer engaging in suspicious behavior. Their attempts to hide their identity and pay in cash suggest premeditation, indicating they were aware of potential investigation methods and tried to avoid being traced. Forensic analysis confirms the knife matches Elena's wounds, with distinctive serrations linking it to the camp store's items. The knife's sharpness and deliberate force suggest a recent purchase and intentional harm, indicating the killer's clear intent. This evidence strengthens the case against the suspect, pointing to a calculated and premeditated attack.
We've gathered critical evidence in our initial investigation. Now we must pursue the most promising lead with determination. Each potential suspect represents a complex web of motivations and opportunities. Select our final investigative target. Focused investigation on Marcus Reinhardt. Follow Victor Petrov lead. Investigate Sarah Jensen.
Detailed financial investigation uncovers Reinhardt's network of fake companies for money laundering and criminal activity. A search warrant uncovers bloody clothing in Reinhardt's office safe, indicating his attempt to conceal Petrov's account of his whereabouts and the night of the incident is scrutinized, revealing contradictions, leading to his arrest for further interrogation.
Potential killers: Marcus Reinhardt, developer; Viktor Petrov, environmental activist; Sarah Jensen, rival journalist. Guess the killer. Your choice will reveal all. Marcus Reinhardt seemed like the perfect killer. Millions missing, a motive as clear as broken glass. But perfection in murder is rare. By the time Elena Marlowe published her revelation, the developer's world was falling apart. $2.3 million was gone. Along with the investigation report, Reinhardt's reputation was in tatters. His car matched the tire tracks at the crime scene, and cell phone tower data placed his phone uncomfortably close to the crime scene. Previous assault charges spoke of a violent past and suggested he could silence a threat. Financial ruin provided a crystal clear motivation, a journalist threatening to destroy everything he had built. Yet something was wrong. The evidence was neatly arranged, like a staged performance. A sophisticated developer would not risk everything for such a watchable murder. The crime scene suggested a more personal, passionate murder. Reinhardt's calculated nature seemed to contradict that. There was no direct physical evidence tying him to Elena's death. The meticulously collected forensic data contained more shadows than definitive evidence. A professional like Reinhardt would have had more elaborate methods to neutralize a threat. Sometimes the most obvious suspect is nothing more than an elaborate illusion. The forest holds its secrets, and Elena Marlowe's real killer may be watching us right now, openly. The hunt is on, investigator.
Dr. Heinrich Weber reviews crime scene photos showing banker Thomas Blackwood's body found in the Premier Plaza basement. Dr. Heinrich Weber reviews crime scene photographs from the Premier Plaza office complex, where the body of international investment banker Thomas Blackwood was discovered in a basement storage room. The victim was found in a prone position, showing multiple blunt force trauma to the head. Evidence suggests the attack took place in his office, and the body was later transported to the storage room. Initial examination reveals several defensive wounds to the victim's hands, indicating a desperate struggle before death. The victim's watch, which was shattered during the attack, stopped at exactly 21:42, probably due to the force of the impact. The office shows clear signs of a violent struggle, with overturned furniture, shattered glass, and blood spatter patterns, all pointing to multiple impacts. These signs suggest the victim fought back fiercely, trying to defend himself before succumbing to repeated strikes. Building security logs show the victim's keycard was last used at 1930, marking his last known movement in the building. The security cameras on the executive floor were disabled between 21 o'clock and 22:15, creating a window of opportunity for the killer. This suggests the attacker had knowledge of the security system, making it more likely the crime was planned and deliberate. Victim's phone reveals multiple threatening messages regarding a failed investment scheme that cost clients millions. The messages, sent by several different contacts, indicate a growing sense of frustration and anger from those affected. Some of the messages hint at a personal vendetta, suggesting the victim had made powerful enemies in the business world. The storage room, which usually requires separate security access, shows clear signs of tampering with the locking system. This tampering suggests that the perpetrator had specific knowledge of the security protocols in place and may have deliberately bypassed them in order to move the victim's body. It also raises questions about whether the killer had inside knowledge. Autopsy reveals death occurred between 21:30 and 22 o'clock. Several employees reported unusual behavior from the victim in the days leading up to his death, including heated arguments and signs of stress. This suggests potential conflicts with a colleague or business partner. The security office is plunged into darkness as cameras go offline. Schmidt launches a swift raid, moving with precision through the space. Evidence shows Schmidt tampered with backup security systems, disabling key cameras and alarm triggers. Detailed autopsy reveals unique impact patterns, suggesting specialized equipment. Trace evidence includes high-end carpet fibers from the rival firm's office building, indicating Schmidt may have been at the scene before the murder occurred. The fibers, which match those found on his clothing. The bruising marks on the victim suggest controlled and precise force. The specific placement and depth of the bruises suggest that the attacker used a well-practiced technique. likely targeting vulnerable areas of the body. The methodical nature of the attack, DNA found under the victim's fingernails matched a profile linking to the attacker. The time of death closely matches Lawrence Chen's known training schedule. This coincidence raises questions about where he was in the critical window for the murder. Given that Chen had a disciplined routine, and that the murder occurred during his regular training session, this timing suggests a possible connection between him and the crime. The victim's defensive wounds suggest the attacker was left-handed, as the strikes appear to come from a dominant left hand. Financial records reveal significant fund transfers to offshore accounts, pointing to potential money laundering activities. These transfers, traced back to Lawrence Chen's firm, suggest he may have been involved in illicit financial schemes. Investigators are now focusing on these irregularities as a possible motive for the murder. The victim's death, threatening letters sent from Delgado's account were revealed, confirming that Delgado was directly responsible for the ominous threats. Deliberately falsified his security credentials, granting himself unauthorized access to restricted areas of the building. This calculated move allowed him to bypass standard protocols and avoid detection, further implicating him in the premeditated nature of the crime. His actions suggest prior knowledge of the building's vulnerabilities. Schmidt's locker contains the victim's missing personal items. This discovery directly links him to the crime scene. Evidence of premeditated security system tampering. Investigators believe the plan was set in motion days before the murder. Schmidt's phone contains detailed messages and notes outlining the victim's daily routine, including meeting schedules, meal times, and regular routes through the building. This level of surveillance suggests that Schmidt had been closely monitoring the victim for a long time, carefully planning his movements. The discovery of this information further strengthens the case against Schmidt, revealing his calculated and methodical approach to crime. Blood found on Schmidt's hand immediately raises suspicions, suggesting his direct involvement in the violent confrontation. Chen's company files reveal a covert takeover attempt aiming to force Blackwood out of the market. Surveillance shows Chen entering the building via the underground parking garage, bypassing the main entrance, raising suspicions. The timing of his entry matches the victim's last known movements. Strong evidence has emerged that Chen deliberately destroyed the victim's business records in an attempt to conceal critical information. Forensic analysis of the data reveals a pattern of deliberate interference, including the deletion of emails, contracts, and financial statements. The destruction of these records appears to have been a calculated move by Chen to protect his own interests. Chen's DNA has been definitively confirmed through forensic analysis of crime scene samples, linking him directly to the location of the victim's death. Delgado's financial records show significant losses due to failed investments and mounting debt. Stolen files could provide significant leverage to allow the victim to collaborate with business partners.
The Thomas Key technical observations. Blunt force trauma indicating Looking at our suspects, Peter Schmidt, former security chief access, knowledge, and a vendetta. Lawrence Chen, rival executive physical capability and corporate motive. Maria Delgado, defrauded client, financial ruin, and personal vengeance. The evidence before us tells a story, investigator. One of these three individuals committed this murder. The forensic evidence makes that certain. But which one truly fits all the pieces of our puzzle? In the end, the truth was unmistakable. The killer was Peter Schmidt, the recently fired security chief. His motive was revenge, fueled by humiliation and the financial ruin that followed his dismissal. The evidence was there all along. His access card, used after his termination date, the security systems tampered with by someone who knew them intimately, and the surveillance blackout that coincided perfectly with the time of death. Schmidt's knowledge of the building's blind spots allowed him to strike swiftly, leaving little trace behind. As for the others, Lawrence Chen may have had a motive, but the timing of his boxing training and the lack of access to security systems ruled him out. The fibers from his office were a misdirection, planted to frame him. Maria Delgado had motive and opportunity, but her whereabouts were confirmed by multiple witnesses, and her threats, though aggressive, were nothing more than empty words. In the end, only Schmidt possessed the combination of access, knowledge,
Chief Digital Forensics Examiner John Matthews examines images of a suburban home where Isabella Romano was found in her bedroom. The peaceful appearance of the house contrasts sharply with the brutal crime inside. The curtains remain half-drawn, and family photos still hang on the walls, giving no immediate hint of the violence. Victim's 4-year-old daughter was found unharmed in her bedroom. Child Protective Services confirmed she was sleeping through the incident. The child appeared confused, but physically unharmed. Authorities noted no signs of struggle or distress in her room. She was later placed under protective care, pending the investigation. No signs of forced entry at any access points. Home security system was armed, but not triggered during the estimated time of death. This suggests the perpetrator may have had authorized access or knew the security code. Bedroom shows minimal signs of struggle. Victim's prescription sleep medication found on nightstand, partially empty. The cap is askew, indicating it may have been hastily opened. In the house, everything in the kitchen seems normal. Donuts have been made, everything appears ordinary, but a sudden murder has disrupted the peace. Victim recently filed for divorce. Court documents reveal ongoing bitter custody dispute and significant financial disagreements. Neighbors report seeing victim's estranged husband, Nicholas Romano's car, in the vicinity that evening. Toxicology screening shows elevated levels of sleep medication, inconsistent with normal dosage. Victim's sister, Claire Bennett, possessed spare house keys and was named beneficiary of substantial life insurance policy. Claire had recently visited the victim's house, offering support during the divorce. Investigation reveals the victim's close relationship with her friend and local pharmacist, Ethan Marlowe, who obsessively admired her and personally Odd placement of the pieces suggests a struggle may have occurred in the kitchen. Analyses confirm the presence of human blood on some pieces of the porcelain bowl. When confronted with the evidence, Romano became defensive and struggled to offer a convincing explanation. Police showed Romano footage obtained from neighbors' security cameras. When asked if the car rapidly leaving the victim's street at 11:50 p.m. belonged to him, he first denied recognition, then dismissed it, saying it might be similar. In the later stages of questioning, police placed a drawing made by his young daughter on the table. The child had drawn the silhouette of her father in her. Security records show the system was deactivated at 10:45 p.m. with a valid code. However, this code was only known to maintenance worker Lucas Reed. An unexpected access was detected in the system on the day of the incident. Lucas Reed's fingerprint was found on a device in the back panel of the security system. The team believes the device wasn't recorded and that Reed used the day for unauthorized access. Lucas Reed's background reveals multiple theft cases and files related to missing items, indicating he was in financial difficulty. His attempts to access Isabella's bank accounts suggest possible financial motivations. Lucas Reed's internet history in the past few weeks contains searches related to insurance fraud. This is notable during a period when the victim had taken out a large insurance policy. Investigators are now examining the possibility that Reed planned to exploit the victim's policy for gain. Reed was seen wandering a nearby neighborhood on the day of the incident and recognized by neighbors. Security camera footage shows Reed near Isabella's house the day before the incident, acting suspiciously. Forensic analysis Description. Seeing the footage, Marlowe tries to deny the scenes he secretly watched, but his defense weakens. His face turns pale and his hands tremble, betraying his nervousness. He knows the evidence is Marlowe's fingerprints are found on the broken porcelain bowl in Isabella's kitchen. When confronted with the evidence, Ethan Marlowe, unable to escape the mounting pressure, finally cracks under the weight of the evidence and confesses. With a trembling voice, he admits his deep obsession with Isabella and his overwhelming fear of losing her. His infatuation had spiraled out of control, clouding his judgment and leading him to a desperate act. Marlowe explains that he had carefully studied her medical history, becoming intimately familiar with her medication regimen. Lucas Reed owed money to local loan sharks and often stole from Isabella's home to cover his debt. After examination, stolen jewelry is found among Reed's belongings. The drawing shows Romano in Isabella's room, a key clue. Romano's fingerprints are found on Isabella's medication bottle, despite his claim that he hadn't been to the house. A neighbor's security camera shows Romano's car near Isabella's house at the time of death. This footage provides additional evidence. In-depth investigations at the detective's office revealed that Lucas Reed owed large amounts of money to local loan sharks and frequently stole from Isabella's homes to cover his debts. This financial strain likely motivated his criminal actions. After a detailed examination of the office, the jewelry Reed stole is found among his personal belongings. These items match Isabella's missing items exactly. The unique markings and designs of the items confirm their authenticity and strengthen the case against him. This discovery further ties Reed to the crime scene. Reed's DNA on Isabella's pillowcase and security panel confirms his presence in the house during the murder, further implicating him in the crime. Chemical analysis of Reed's equipment finds traces of the drugs that killed Isabella, which are linked to Reed's presence in the house. Lucas Reed confesses to detectives that when Isabella woke up while he was stealing, he panicked and forced her to take her medication to calm her down. However, the situation got out of control and ultimately led to Isabella's death. The detective carefully reads the final toxicology report in the office. The report reveals that the compounds detected in Isabella's